Everybody, we're call this meeting to order. This is a joint meeting of the Lenox School Committee and the Select Board to fill a vacancy on the school committee. I'll turn it over to the chair of the Select Board, Neil Maximilian, and the chair of the school committee, Orrin Cass. We need to elect a chair.
Or because it's a school committee and, I want to clarify that we're not driving this process, although we're supposed to be included. I'd nominate you to chair the meeting.
I'll second.
I guess.
Aye.
We all vote aye.
All right. Well, welcome everyone once again to the meeting. And especially to August, Jared, and Benjamin, thank you all. We can only appoint Judy to come up here and have a letter. We can obviously only appoint one person, but it's wonderful to have so much interest. And there will be, I guess we're gonna have four openings on the ballot this May as well. So really appreciate your interest. Bob Munch, who is the fourth appointee or applicant, sent me a message today that he's quite ill and would still like to be considered, but won't be able to be here to speak this evening. And so my suggestion would be that we proceed by having the applicants step out of the room and each one come in and speak for up to 5 minutes, share your interest, qualifications, anything else you'd want us to know, and then we would deliberate and vote. But if anyone else wanted to add anything to that, certainly. Okay.
Can I suggest, do you happen to have on you Bob Munch's letter of intent, just for
Yes.
the record, to have his interest and qualifications, maybe to be that and
Yep. Yeah.
and not being here?
All right.
Who wants to go first?
Well-
The other's gotta leave.
I guess we'll go alphabetically unless someone has a particular passion. So August, do you want to get us started?
Did you mentioned a suggestion about one at a time, and Ken is outside. It's entirely up to you, but
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
makes sense.
maybe ask them to do it then.
Oh,
They might not be aware that we're aware that that's what you're.
Good evening. My name is August Janowski, and I've been an off and on again resident of Lenox for my whole life. I spent a lot of time here as a child. My grandmother moved here in 1947, and I've just always considered it sort of my home base. And moved back here full time about 12 years ago. I have when COVID hit and we got an email. I had 3 children in the school system, or step-ish children. We got an email asking for substitute teachers, and I had a flexible schedule, and so I stepped up and volunteered to do that. Although they do pay us, but not very much. And then a teacher went AWOL, missing, last year, and so I volunteered to fill the position because I'd been a math teacher in California before. And then again last spring, a teacher was out ill, and so I volunteered to fill that position. And so my interest in this really comes from, you're missing a person. And I have a lot of interest in the school system, and I thought I would volunteer to step up and do this too, if you want me. I think that I can offer, I think my experience teaching, especially teaching here in Lenox, would be helpful, I think, to the school committee. I'd like to think that I have some good ideas for things that could be improved in the school. Yeah, now you said you weren't going to ask questions, but does anyone have any questions? I can I'm not sure what else to,
Yeah, I guess we can use the 5 minutes if there's anything.
Absolutely, it's up to you.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions they want to throw in.
that sounded like a question.
Things, after reading this up in school, you mentioned your lesson was, there's things that you like to see changed. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, I think that there's been a lot of change recently, which has been great. I know that Graham and Katie were really impressed with what was going on in the school and the changes that happened. I think Jeremiah has done a really good job, or Dr. Ames, excuse me. But I think there's more to be done on the issue of sort of behavioral challenges and bullying in the school. For instance, when I was in California and teaching, the football team the players were like some of the best behaved students in the school, because there was a policy that if they had less than like a C average, they couldn't play. If they didn't sit in the front row in their classes, they couldn't play. If they misbehaved in any way, they couldn't play. There's a policy in the school handbook about grades and participating in sports, and as a parent, a little concerned because the policy is currently, if you are failing more than 2 classes, you need parental permission to participate in sports. And I think that's something I would want to look at, because that doesn't seem to represent Lenox very well if the players are failing all their classes and the parents don't care. And so, but yeah, that's, anyone else?
I think that's our 5 minutes.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guess you send Benjamin in?
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Benjamin Finley. I grew up here in Lenox. Some of you actually do know me quite well already. I've worked with Ms. Fenton over there on the Code of Conduct Committee back when I was a student. So this is always awkward to try to talk about yourself. But yeah, so being that I'm an alumni of the Lenox School District, my family has a long-running history. With my oldest sister actually graduating in '97. I have a very good connection with a lot of the faculty and the staff at Lenox Memorial High School, from the students to all the faculty. I pretty much know everybody that works, at least at the middle and high school. Custodians, and it's just a lot of the people would come to me and be just in regular talking about things that go on in the school, a lot being good, and sometimes you heard issues, and then sometimes it's like, okay, you guys, just tone that down a little bit. Everything will be okay. Qualifications wise, I have served on other boards. I'm actually on the board with CTSB. Served on the board of directors there since 2011. I've worked with a lot of different people in the community. Let's see. Lenox has always meant a lot to me. The community and everything. I actually came from a homeschooling background. I was homeschooled from kindergarten through 9th grade, entered Lenox in 10th grade. It was the best experience I ever had in my life. I loved it. Everybody loved high school. I was like, I did. It became my second family. And I've always wanted to continue to allow other people that are in that community to feel that as well. and always be the ear for people to listen to. And one big example of how important that community is actually what happened to me in February. I lost a very close family member in February, suddenly and tragically. Was not expected at all. And I was actually in the middle of assistant directing the high school musical, and everybody came together to support me during that time, which felt so great to me. So to be able to serve in a position on the Lenox School Committee would be just my way of giving back to the community. That would be just amazing. So, that's my spiel.
Turned out 5 minutes was a lot of time, so if you want, if anyone has a question, I guess you can ask a question also.
So you're currently still with the school system in any capacity?
It was mainly a on-call type capacity of either being called to work at anything in the mainly in the theater. I was substituting for quite a while, but I've actually since branched out and started my own company this past January, so I'm not really doing substituting very much. I do try to still help out in the theater when possible. Because it's a passion. Like a lot of times I don't always care to be compensated because like I'm doing it to give back to them.
So it's volunteer.
A lot of it is volunteer. Occasionally, depending on what's going on, I may be compensated monetarily depending upon the situation.
So, a bit of a last question. When you see yourself and think yourself as on the school committee, is there anything you think about in terms of the things that interest you as being a member of the committee? Giving back.
Being able to basically make sure that especially my big thing is taking feedback that people give me and be able to, whether it's good or bad, and making sure that gets into the hands of the right person. That's my big thing. If it's praise of like somebody's like, oh, I really enjoyed that presentation that happened, whether it was a faculty thing or a student presentation, I want to make sure that gets in the right ears. Or if there's some situation that's going on that they're upset about, I want to make sure that gets to the right person. All right, cool.
Thank you
very much. So much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I will
See you.
Hey, Warren. It just occurred to me, I went and downloaded them from the website, and I heard, because Bob March isn't here, that I think you mentioned, Kim, you had seen it, so if you're interested.
Yeah, everyone has
Beneficial to people that are listening or to hear why he was.
Okay, but I have a copy to share if anyone.
In this case, he didn't, just because a lot of us know him, but he didn't write it long because he was probably going to give a presentation, but he had his credentials. Yeah.
Hi everyone, hello, Jared Weber, 42 Golden Hill Road. I guess I'll just dive in and tell a little bit about my credentials as I think they relate to this committee and my interest. Some of this may be repetitive from what I put in my letter and from what people already know about me, but professionally I work as a corporate headhunter. I do recruitment in the financial services industry. I've been in my line of work for nearly a decade. My work is contingent on me being an effective facilitator of communication. So I'm simultaneously representing my clients, in my case, hedge funds and private equity firms, and the candidate seeking the job, and facilitating communication between the two to hopefully affect a job offer and a placement so that the needs of the client are fulfilled and the candidate is happy in their job. So I do that remotely. I work for a global recruitment firm. I'm the head of the Boston practice. So I built the Boston practice from scratch, meaning I built client relationships, trustworthy, effective, communicative client relationships that feed the business, hopefully not once, but twice and 3 times over. Repeat business being the goal, meaning effective communication and is key. To pivot into my personal life, education has recently become part of the fabric of my home. My partner is an educator. He is entering his third year as a social studies teacher at Reed Middle School. So he was hired at Reed in 2022 under an emergency license. Deficit of school teachers around that time, specifically in Pittsfield and at Reed, and they were hiring folks with just their bachelor's degree. Matt applied and was hired. So over the last 2.5, 3 years, our dinner table conversations have been focused on curriculum, student engagement. I've witnessed and supported Matt as he's gone through his licensure. So he's taken 2 of his MTEL exams and what that means to move from the emergency license, where now he's hired under his professional license. Soon he'll begin taking coursework to pursue a master's degree in education. So also simultaneously talking about, he's been having union meetings, so meeting with union reps at Reed, and it's just been ingrained in our conversation in our house. And lastly, you know, when I was running for a seat on the select board, I made it a point to meet with as many folks in town as I could to have face-to-face conversations. Obviously, as everybody in this room knows, education is, you know, is part of the fabric of Lenox and incredibly important to the town. Delivering high quality education seems to be one of the biggest points of conversation with everybody that I had in town. I met with parents with students in Morris, parents with students in the middle and high school. I met with recent grads, and it was just really rewarding to assimilate that information, understand kind of what the education system looks like, how it supports people. And that's kind of the approach that I would take if I was selected to serve on this committee, to make sure that I'm ingrained in the community, that I'm speaking with folks who are directly impacted by the schools, including students, including educators, including parents, and hopefully facilitating sound judgment and communication on the board.
It turned out we had trouble using our full 5 minutes, so if we've done a question for everybody.
Okay.
If anybody has a question for Chair.
This question might be a little bit unfair because one of the candidates had actually worked in the school, but you just mentioned talking to a lot of people in the community. Are there any particular issues or concerns or conversations that you would want to sort of delve into in the beginning based upon what you've heard? What are some things that you're interested in getting to know more about and dig into?
You know, I would want to have a deeper think on that, but topics that seemed to come up frequently in those conversations included offerings of extracurriculars, offerings of additional AP coursework, making sure that students had access to different levels of coursework that that may be limited at the moment. You know, there was talk of there's some talk of merging the school system, some talk of why aren't we merging with Lee, some talk of the budget is too high, why are we doing this, some talk of we need to keep the budget high. You know, it was all over, to be frank, it was all over the place. There are plenty of people who think that the school is over budgeted and plenty of people who feel that the school is adequately and or under budgeted. So I don't know that there's like one resounding feeling that I walk away with, but I do think that I'm pretty well equipped at assimilating broad information and hopefully bringing it into perspective and feeding it back into the board and operating with integrity.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Well, now I guess we can deliberate to the extent that folks have thoughts they want to share. The floor is open. Oh, I was going to mention just to Kim's point. So Bob had just sent a very short cover letter noting that he had served on the committee from 2015 to 2023, was vice chair in 2020, and participated in interest-based bargaining for 2 LEA contracts.
When is the next contract being negotiated?
This year. And so, yeah, that is certainly something that would be useful. The other thing that's not in here, but I believe he's on the school building committee as well.
bring some expertise into that. Or just review for me, this position, it would then be up for election again in May. So the individual
Yes.
serving is serving for a relatively short time, and then we'll be electing 4.
That's right. There will be 2 3-year positions and 2 2-year positions.
Okay. All right.
I think, I hate to discourage anybody that wants to volunteer and be on a board. Anybody that comes forth and wants to volunteer, I think it's wonderful. I personally feel, my feeling is that where we are at right now and with kind of some of the disruptions that have been happening on the school committee since May, June, I would really like to see some stability and some experience, at least to get us through the elections until May. With the negotiations coming up, I think it's important to have somebody at the table that is familiar with that. You know, there's some curriculum things out there, policy things, and obviously I just started myself. I've only been here a year, and I hate to discourage anybody that wants to come in and be new, but I just feel like what it feels like to me right now, I would really like to pull somebody on board that has a sense and that we're not restarting, you know, reinventing the wheel, at least for the next couple of months until we can get a sense at the elections. So I would throw my support towards Bob Munch for that reason. I think that all of them are wonderful. I think Jared would have a lot to bring to the table. Very articulate, seems like a good communicator, listener, but for this next period, I would want to throw my support towards Bob Munch for those reasons.
Is that a nomination?
Oh, okay, before we do nomination, can we talk about process a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't want to do nominations yet, until we have a sense of how we're gonna do it. I did see some process, and I know you mentioned this, we've got 4 candidates. So if you just do a straight vote of who gets the most, it feels like it could be quite diffuse.
Yes, so
Anyway,
yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
so my assumption is that relative to other roll call votes that we do, by virtue of them all having applied, they are all nominated and on the table, and the roll call vote would be among the 4 of them. If we don't have a majority at that point, there's no set procedure. I checked with the town lawyer and he agreed it would make sense we would just drop the bottom candidate and vote again if we need to get to a majority. But my assumption, unless anyone disagrees, is that the roll call vote would be among everybody who has put in their name.
I'll just, so for disclosure, because I want to be clear that this is your meeting to run, but I have been on the other side of that door and went through this process. So I'm sharing what I recall about that. I wasn't really aware of the details of how they did things. The process went sort of like, that was about what happened to me when I came in. I don't know how they determined the votes specifically, but I do remember that it seemed that we were whittled down. I don't know the specific ways. And the other thing I recall, again, just from having gone through that, is a member of the select board, said while I was in the room, and just take it for what you will, he mentioned that I like that you are familiar to the existing school committee. That's without me having any opinion about those people out there.
But in terms of process, is everyone comfortable
So you're
with that?
just gonna do a general, see who, if we have a majority, then we'll just go with the majority, and if we are somehow tied, or we have a 3, like, because then if we have,
If nobody has a
I don't
majority.
wanna bring up the math, but
That's right.
one concern is if we have 3 candidates with like 3, 3, and 4, are we just gonna go with majority, or are we?
if there's some strange situation where we do not have majority and cannot drop someone, we will have to discuss further. There are few enough of those scenarios that I think we'll get past it. So I would be inclined to, if once everyone who has anything to shares that, let's do an initial roll call vote, may have a clear majority. If for some reason there's not, we'll have to whittle down.
And then just in the process with, in some ways, an echo, in some ways what Kim said, I think I really had a great experience working with Bob on the committee, and he's a valuable member in so many different ways. And at the same time, I really have appreciated seeing Jared Weber dig in and really wanting to have a voice and a perspective. I think we look at the idea of not wanting to feel like we're always kind of going to the same group of people to volunteer, to participate, especially when we have younger, people coming from different perspectives. I always like to give that opportunity. So, if I could vote for two people, those would be my two favorites, recognizing that it's not against the others, and certainly really appreciating, like has been said here, that people offering to step up to do this job. It's not an easy job. It's not a confidential job. You're right up in front of people see you, and they like what you do or they don't, and it really takes a lot of commitment. And so I really do appreciate that and hope that people continue, that we can encourage people to continue to participate. I know that at this select board, I think it's often you, Neil, that talks about when people step up and we want more people, and you ask people to volunteer and to sign up. So I really want to make sure that we show our appreciation.
Oh, I agree with that, and I'd already corresponded with them all and emphasized we can only choose one, but it's fantastic to have that level of interest. And I guess I can say this because I will be one of the people on the ballot. I will continue to encourage them to run again. I think the more people we have involved, the better. For this year, I do feel similarly to Kim that I think having, given both bargaining and the school building on the agenda, I do think, to your point, there's the fact there's new versus old, but for the 1 year, I think having, I would certainly value having that expertise.
It's my understanding that Jared's put his hat in for other committees, and there's opportunity for him there, which I'm thrilled to see that he's putting himself out there to figure out what it is. So I don't feel like we've completely poo-pooing him, but
I should say
so.
something.
I mean, we're looking at Jared for CPC. I know he's on the list tonight for being on the community center board, so, he's definitely stepped up and offered his services to a number of different areas within the town. But I think it's great that he's here tonight as well, and it's very edifying to hear that, there may be up to 4 positions that he could, go for in May, so that's fantastic. But, given, as you said, that there are contract negotiations and we have a rather substantive school building project ahead of us, a little bit of experience might go a long way for this time frame. So.
I think we probably do need a motion to vote. Yes.
So I just want to say something, all right? I got to get it off my chest. Jared Weber sat in that seat back there 4 or 5 months ago and accused Ed Lane, myself, and Mary Beth Mitz of taking bribes from General Electric. He never once came back and apologized or recanted his statement. So whatever board, as long as I'm on the select board, whatever committee, until he stands up there and apologizes, I will never recommend him for any position. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I would accept a motion to proceed to a vote then, if there is one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this has to be a roll call vote. I prepared an alphabetical listing, lest I have a problem like last time. And I get to go first. Orrin Cass, Bob Munch, Mike DuPont,
Bob Munch.
Veronica Fenton,
Jared Weber.
Kim Graham,
Bob Munch.
Ed Lane,
Bob Munch.
Neil Maximilian,
Bob Munch.
Mary Beth Mitz,
Bob Munch.
David Rimler,
Bob Munch.
Dave Roche,
Bob Munch.
Max Scherf,
Jared Weber.
And Kim Winger had let me know she's unfortunately unable to attend. And I believe that is a clean majority for Bob March procedurally.
Thank you.
And with that, I think we could take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I think this
Aye.
is just, oh, yes, for all of us. And then we'll re-adjourn the select board afterwards.
Yes, that's
Do you
right.
need the room for anything prior to us?
I don't think so. I think the room is yours. All right. Thank you very much for
Okay.
letting us crash.
Sure. I think it was, Max, did you second my motion to adjourn?
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
We could read some of the paper tomorrow.
Thanks, Fran. Okay, well, I have, by my watch, about 6:32-ish. Having concluded the joint meeting between the Select Board and School Committee, that we are now on to a standard Select Board meeting. So this is the Wednesday, August 21st, 24 Select Board meeting, not at 6, but as I mentioned, at 6:32-ish. And I'll begin the meeting by saying that I don't have any announcements for sake of how much time we've spent so far. So with that, I'll open it to citizens open forum. So as normal, anyone would like to address the board, please feel free to do so. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Ed, if you could read that.
I will, Mr. Chair. The consent agenda, appointments. We have a list of members for annual appointment and reappointments to town boards and committees, and it's included in your packet. If anybody requests, I'll read all those names, but it is in your packet.
Please don't.
Please don't, okay, request not to, right? A one-day all-alcoholic request, Berkshire Horseworks requests a one-day all-alcoholic license for September 20th from 5 to 9 p.m. for the gala fundraiser. That's at Under Mountain Farm. One-day alcohol request, Victor Cantone requests a one-day all-alcoholic license request, liquor license, for September 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. for an event at the Lenox Community Center. And to approve the town clerk requests the approval that the board approve the sign and warrant for the 2024 state primary election. Use request for Town Hall Auditorium. The Ponds at Fox Hollow request the use of the auditorium for their annual board meeting on November 16th from 2 to 6 p.m. And another use request for a Town Hall Auditorium. The Villages of the Berkshires request the use of the auditorium for their annual meeting on October 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. And approve a copy of the final private sewer line acquisition agreement with Hillcrest Educational Centers is included in your packet. A memorandum of understanding is regarding this has been approved by the board on June 12th. And if I can, I'll just make a quick mention of that for people that somebody's not aware of, maybe. So that's the consent agenda. Do you want me to just say what I was gonna, on the one hold?
Well, so we've got one hold.
Yeah.
And I apologize, there's two versions, so I'm making sure that we've got everything covered here. Yes, so
Just,
bring them on hold.
yeah,
Go ahead.
just to remind everybody what this is about. We've been working on this for, I think, 3 years minimum, if not longer. It's for Hillcrest Educational Center. They put a private sewer in on West Mountain Road. A lot of houses up there, as they were built, hooked onto it. And in fairness to them, in fairness to the residents, it should be a town sewer. We had to do a lot of things to protect our interests, we'll say. And that's been done. We had White Engineering working on it and our attorneys. Mr. Gopp from the DPW has approved it, so we're happy with it, we're comfortable with it, but it's been a long time coming.
Okay, anything else to add before I ask for a motion?
No.
Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, Dave seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll move on to general business. I'll say that they're all, we need to make a public hearing for each. I believe only Canyon Ranch
As a legal notice.
has a legal notice.
So I'll like to open a public meeting for National Grid as they seek to replace some poles, wires, and fixtures on Lime Kiln Road, Lenox, near Route 7, as described in their application dated July 26.
Can you get a second?
Second.
All in favor? This is to open the public hearing.
Somebody here from National Grid? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory, the information we have, I believe. I mean, you've read it, and
I have.
You good with it?
I'm good with
I'm
it.
fine with it, so we can,
I'm sure Bill was good with it from DPW,
Okay.
and so,
I think we need to vote to open it, though.
Yeah, we still have to vote.
We
to open
seconded
the
it, but
meeting.
didn't open the.
oh, we didn't vote to
Right.
open it?
we can open it and then close it.
All those in favor of opening the public meeting?
Aye.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to the next.
Well, we got it.
Now then we get a vote.
Okay,
We gotta vote on
I'd like to move to approve National Grid's request to place poles, wires, and fixtures on Lime Kiln Road as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item we have is another public meeting, so I'll make a motion to open a public meeting, and this is for the change of manager for 21 Housatonic Street LLC, doing business as Belvedere Lenox, to Anthony Sink. If I get that correct?
All right, so he made the motion to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
This is now open public hearing.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Oates. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This is 21 Housatonic Street LLC, which is the former Casablanca building. Liquor license and entertainment license were previously approved, and the building's been undergoing its renovation. The existing manager has requested to step aside, and so Anthony has come forward. He has years of hospitality experience as presented in the application, along with some related or unrelated design business that he runs, interior design. So Scott Short is with me here. He's one of the principal owners of the business. And so I think given Anthony's experience, his qualifications under the statute to be a manager, I think he's well suited to take on this project. You'll notice in the application I included that he would be available about 20 hours a week, and I supported that with his affidavit explaining the unique nature of this business. For those that weren't here on the original approval, this is essentially an event space. It's going to be as scheduled, as booked, and so that will allow the coordination of Anthony's schedule with the event. So it's not a regular restaurant that may be open, 80 hours a week. So he'll be able to, with his other existing interior design business, be able to balance the two. And I'm sure everybody in the public is really interested in start dates and the progress there. Progress is being made. Scott was nice enough to just give me a tour through it. It's really nice. First class. The fingers are crossed for October opening, and so I think everybody's going to be able to start to enjoy that space soon, and it's going to be a compliment to downtown. So with that, if you have any questions, either I'll try to answer them. If not, I'll defer over to Scott, but we're asking for an approval of the change of manager.
I don't have any questions. I know Deanna's gone through the paperwork, and it is completely in order. And Scott, I think the building looks beautiful. They really do. And just wish you would get going.
I'll echo the same, gone through the paperwork.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
No more questions?
Nope.
Let's
So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye. So I move to approve the change of manager for 21 Housatonic Street LLC, doing business as Belvedere Lenox, to Anthony, did I get it right, Jeff? Cinque? Okay, Cinque.
Can you a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
We're gonna move on to Canyon Ranch.
I will be abstaining.
Okay.
So the next public hearing we have is a request for an all-alcoholic beverage on-premises in-holder liquor license from Canyon Ranch Golf Licensing LLC, doing business as Canyon Ranch. And this one, we need to read the public notice that it's a long one. It's the longest one we ever had, but it tells us,
Sorry for that.
it covers everything that they could wherever you could possibly have anything.
That's the goal.
But legal is legal, so we have to read this.
So, I'm gonna give it my best shot. Town of Lenox, notice of public hearing, Board of Selectmen. Notice is hereby given that a hearing will be held by the Board of Selectmen in their capacity as licensing board on the application for an annual all-alcoholic hotel license, which has been filed with a local licensing board by Canyon Ranch Golf Licensing, LLC, Mindy Moran, proposed manager for premises located at 165 Kimball Street, Lenox, consisting of Bellefontaine Mansion on 2 floors containing approximately 26,914 square feet, consisting of the back dining room, middle dining room, garden room, rotunda, library, fieldstone lounge, cafe, Sergeant Brook Lounge in lower level, and basement storage in lower level with 283 total seats. Outdoor cafe and side courtyard containing approximately 64,000 square feet with 90 total seats. The inn containing approximately 84,492 square feet in 3 buildings known as the East Wing, West Wing, and Pavilion 3A, the East Wing on 3 floors with 60 guest rooms and consisting of the Berkshire Room, Demo Kitchen, Tanglewood Room, and Lenox Room with 177 total seats. 3B, the West Wing on 2 floors with 60 guest rooms. C, the Pavilion on 1 floor containing lobby and guest check-in with 60 total seats. The North Wing on 2 floors containing approximately 14,292 square feet with 6 guest rooms, 1 suite, and consisting of the Stockbridge Room and the Rockwell Room with 100 total seats. The Spa Complex on 2 floors containing approximately 113,215 square feet, consisting of 6 gymnasiums, tennis area, fitness room, men and women's locker rooms, yoga areas, office, indoor pool, and outdoor pool with 100 total seats. The lawn area containing approximately 55,000 square feet, running from the north side of the Bellefontaine Mansion to the inn and between the spa complex and outdoor cafe, serving as occasional event space with seating for up to 100 people. The lawn area known as the Great Lawn containing approximately 950,400 square feet, running 950,400 square feet, running from the south side of the Bellefontaine Mansion to the tree line south, east, and west, serving as occasional event space, with seating for up to 500 people. The board will act on said application on Wednesday, August 21st, 2024 at 6:00 p.m. in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, Town Hall Building, Lenox, Mass. Neil Maximilian, Chair, Lenox Select Board.
Thank you, Dave. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is now open, and thank you, Dave, for reading the notice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John Aida, law firm McDermott, Quilty, Miller and Hanley, 28 State Street in Boston, here on behalf of the applicant. Joining me this evening is Mindy Moran, who's seated in the audience. Just by way of housekeeping, I do have my affidavit of the notice to the butters. I didn't see Deanna, so could that get to her? That's perfect. So just briefly, by way of experience, Mindy has been in the hospitality industry. She has over 25 years experience. Prior to being at Canyon Ranch, she was at Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, more recently in Washington, D.C., San Francisco, and Pittsburgh. She's been at Canyon Ranch for the last 8 years as the managing director, and she's also the proposed manager on this liquor license. So what are we looking to do? We're looking and requesting approval for an all-alcoholic beverage hotel license for this premise. The days of putting just the address on the licenses are long over, so unfortunately we do have to provide it. It's also a safeguard, not only for the board, but for the ABCC as well, so we can make sure wherever there's alcohol service, it's included on the license. So this is really driven very much so from the guests of the resort. They have been asking for additional amenities, including the service of alcohol. So this is something that they pride themselves on their guest experience, and they want to have that relationship with their guests. So they want to be able to have it as an additional amenity for their food service and complement that food service. It's not going to be the main focus. It's really kind of behind the scenes. It's going to be a continue their tradition for their supper series that they've had, or for their demo kitchen where they might have a wine pairing or wine tasting, or an event outside that they may have that function that they'd like to have the service of alcohol as well. So this kind of covers all the bases. So instead of what they've done in the past, they've been before this board for single one-day licenses, or alternatively, they've had to go to a caterer and hire a caterer to cater certain functions. This way, they can handle everything in-house. They have all their staff, which is trained, and Mindy is quite capable of overseeing all that. And then this way, it's also checks and balances with this board as well. You're only dealing with one entity, Canyon Ranch themselves, if there's any questions or concerns. And again, Mindy, with all her times also at the Fairmont, which did have alcohol service, there were no issues or violations. So we're coming to you for that request, and if you have any questions, either I can answer that, or certainly Mindy could probably be more specific on the actual spaces at Canyon Ranch.
Thank you. We'll entertain questions, comments, conversation, noting that.
Seems like times are changing at Canyon Ranch for health and wellness and just a little bit of fun.
It's healthy.
Yep.
It is healthy.
Yeah.
It's healthy. In moderation.
That's great. That's great. I think it's great. And Mindy's a fantastic manager. She's been a fantastic business partner for the town in her management of Canyon Ranch, and I would expect that we will continue that very successful relationship.
Great. I agree with what Mary Beth said, and Mindy's been a few times getting one-day licenses, I guess, kind of feeling it out to see how it goes. Apparently it's going well. So I think it's perfect for you, perfect for us.
So Mindy, we know, you we don't.
Right.
The ABCC or ABPC or whatever the hell it is. They are so tough on these. They'll go through this and just.
Right. So the next step, as you know, they appoint an investigator. He'll go down he'll come out to the site,
Right.
and that's why we have to have a description like that. So he'll check it through, make sure it matches. I don't know if it's my longest description, but it's up there. It's up there. So it took a while to go through it. So it's
Your firm's done this a gazillion times.
yes, yeah. I'm only 22 years, and I'm one of the middle in terms of seniority at my firm. So we've done this. We're very familiar with the ABCC. We know if they have any questions or concerns, we stay on top of that as well. So
All right, well, good luck.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll concur with everything. Having previously had to be very careful about reading all that and being very appreciative of Dave doing it here in public. I don't have anything to add. Okay, everybody good? Okay, so let's move to close the public
I'll
hearing.
make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I'll make a motion to approve the all alcoholic beverages on premises in-holder liquor license for Canyon Ranch Golf Licensing LLC, doing business as Canyon Ranch.
Second.
All in favor, noting Max will be abstaining.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Perfect. Good luck.
Thank you for your time. Thank you all.
Good luck.
Good luck, Mindy.
I'll invite you to our supper series.
Love that. Ooh, love that.
What is sushi opening? I keep walking up the door, it looks beautiful.
Pictures up on Instagram. So.
We're all here. We have some signatures on those one-day licenses and the warrant for the state primary. Get everybody's signature before you leave, before we adjourn.
So where's that meeting tomorrow at 11?
The Mason Library.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's only three there.
Well, the only thing I have remaining is that I'll announce that our next regular meeting is on September 4th. Anything else required before we adjourn?
Nope.
Then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks very much.
Nice and easy.
Appreciate it.